Alright, hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another wrestling review. All Elite Wrestling, AEW, who has existed for or 5, almost 6 years now at this point. It will be its 6th anniversary in around May. And a lot of good moments, a lot of bad moments in AEW. We've seen a little bit of both, some more than others at times, but AEW has been around for a bit, for a little while now. How at first for a little bit, it was kind of the number 2 promotion, and now a lot of people feel like TNA is kind of taking its place, but AEW, who very large entity, is what I'm getting at. But it wasn't always that way. At one point in time, it seemed like, especially years after the buyout of both WCW and ECW, it seemed like WWE was the sole major wrestling promotion. It was going to be the only major wrestling promotion. Even TNA at this point in time had kind of dwindled down from that pedestal, and so because of that, a lot of people felt that WWE couldn't be stood up to. That WWE was going to rule things, for lack of a better term, and be just the top dog. And so Dave Meltzer, pretty much said that at no Ring of Honor show, he specifically apparently said no Ring of Honor show, but but essentially, Ring of Honor or indie show could really stand up WWE and more simply not sell 10,000 tickets. But Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, who at this point was only a couple years into the American Nightmare gimmick, pretty much looked at that and said, "Challenge accepted." So he got together with his friends, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and several other indie wrestlers, and decided to do a conglomeration show. To really stand up to WWE and prove Dave Meltzer wrong, and prove him wrong they did. This show that I'm about to talk about sold out within hours of it being announced. Within hours of only one match being announced, and so. How would this show perform, and would it truly prove Dave Meltzer wrong? Let's find out. It's time to review All In, and that was probably, I don't know if that was the best intro to All In or the worst intro to All In, but I tried my best. Yeah, it's time for my light to kick back on. There we go. And it's time for my laptop to plug back in. There we go. But it's time to review All In 2018. The show that a lot of people say got the ball rolling for AEW, and was one of the key factors to AEW being founded. So, of course, we have a lot of matches on the card. Technically 11 in total, 9 on the main card, 2 on the pre-show. Unfortunately, I watched this via Triller TV / Fight TV, so unfortunately couldn't get the pre-show there. Or I think it is in the subsection. I probably should have checked previously if it was in like the subsection. It was in like the little bonus area for All In. Let me see here. News. Watch more. Watch later. It's got that. Nope. Nothing about it, at least not that I could see. For a pre-show, I always been meaning to see if I was able to see the pre-show, but nevertheless, got a lot of matches, and of course, as always, I'm not professional wrestling reviewer, analyst, or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time, and I definitely had a pretty good time, I would say, with this with this show. I should say. Now, this was back in 2018, so obviously now in present day 2025, let's see how things hold up about 7 years later, let's get into it. Now, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you kind of already know how this works. If you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and disliked about each match. We're going to go match by match. The two pre-show matches, though, the first is a tag team match as SoCal Uncensored, aka SCU, that being Frankie Kazarian, aka Kaz, and Scorpio Sky, aka Scorpio Sky. AKA, I think Harold was his name, from the Team Hell No days. He's like in, when he was an extra when they were doing like the therapy with Dr. Shelby. But they defeated the Briscoe brothers, that being Jay and Mark Briscoe. And the second match was a 19-person in over budget battle royal, determined the number one contender for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Over budget battle royal is admittedly a pretty funny name, but that was won by El Hijo de Chico, aka Flip Gordon, and he last eliminated Bully Ray in order to get the opportunity, so he will face the Ring of Honor World Champion Jay Lethal later on the show. But now getting into the show proper, as in the opening match, Matt Cross takes on Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. Considering this show laid the groundwork and was ultimately the inspiration for AEW, having the show, the main part of the show, kick off with MJF is actually pretty appropriate, and it's pretty telling. And MJF, very young MJF, only 22 here, if I'm not mistaken, 21 or 22 here, it should be 22, yeah. Very, very young MJF. He's still young in his career, and already MJF has such a natural presence about him, even this young into his career, and this, I think, is a very nice glimpse of the future, and they even put over on commentary. Now, the commentary, it does rotate it rotates between Ian Riccoboni, I think I pronounced that correctly, Excalibur, and Don Callis. Then we had Dalton Castle for the Battle Royal. We had Tennille Dashwood and Mandy Leon for the women's match, and Brent Herring, aka Timmy Baltimore, for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship match. That obviously we'll get to later on. But yes. So they're putting over MJF on commentary, how he is like the future of the business, and they definitely were spot on with that. As for the match, pretty fun for the most part. Or MJF battling Matt Cross. Matt Cross, kind of more of a high flying style. I had to look up who Matt Cross was, and admittedly my jaw dropped. This is what I get for not really watching a whole lot of I don't necessarily want to say indie wrestling, but a lot of the wrestling promotions, because that is Son of Havoc from Lucha Underground. So pretty cool to see him here. Not the last Lucha Underground alumni we will see on this show, but MJF, seeing him here against Matt Cross. Matt Cross did really fantastically as well, and of course does end up getting the win. But to see MJF here, see how good he is already, and the fact that he'll just continue to improve, even 7 years later, is pretty crazy to see. He kind of the humble beginnings, and MJF really working the arm of Matt Cross. Also not enough to put him away, but to see him in his mannerisms and has a presence about him, you could tell still a little rough around the edges at times, but like I said, he'll just continue to improve as the years go on. And I would say a really solid showing for MJF, and them touting him as this major star, I think, is very, very apt and very appropriate, even if he didn't necessarily hit the win here. But nevertheless, next up in singles action, and Christopher Daniels of SCU, who is accompanied by his fellow SCU members Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky, of course, as I mentioned, and who are in the tag team match on the pre-show. Oh, he takes on Stephen Amell. That's right, Arrow himself. And I think they announced on commentary at this point that Arrow season 7 was coming on. So Arrow was still going at this time. I forgot Arrow ran that long. And Arrow, a show I never actually finished. I had started. I think I got like halfway through season 1 on, but then again, this is when I was much younger and my attention span was a lot shorter. It's still kind of short nowadays, but yeah, this is when your boy had a kind of a short attention span, and so it didn't condition me to be in the long haul for shows like that. So maybe now that I'm older and a little bit wiser, maybe I'll give it another try. But nevertheless, Stephen Amell, of course, was friends with Cody Rhodes. Not unfamiliar to pro wrestling, and even having the show Heels was that he was a part of being at SummerSlam in 2014 or 15, I think, and, is when he teamed up with Neville against Stardust, but nevertheless, as Stephen Amell, they did mention having some history in a Ring of Honor with Christopher Daniels here, so that is carrying over to this one. This one was, This one was just kind of admittedly for me at least. Now, celebrities in wrestling has always been kind of a subject of debate, whether it's a good thing, bad thing. And I would say the history shows it's a net positive. If having them in matches is a bit more mixed of a result, though. Worst celebrity involvement? No. Best? I wouldn't say that either. Steven did okay. Christopher Daniels getting the majority of the offense and trying to work with Stephen Amell as best he could, I think, was good to see. Stephen Amell does set up a table, and of course ends up going through that table when trying to hit an elbow drop on Christopher Daniels. So, of course, there's the time-honored tradition in wrestling. The one who sets up the table will be the one who goes through the table. And Jerry Lynn, the referee for this match, he's about to count them out before he then throws them in the ring and then kind of gets into it with Christopher Daniels. Ultimately, Christopher Daniels putting away Stephen Amell. Also, like I said, having Christopher Daniels get the majority of the offense and then picking up the win, I think was the right move. Stephen Amell came to do what he needed to do, but otherwise the match was kind of for the most part. But next up, in a four-corner survival match, we have Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, who actually comes out to Adam Cole's theme song, and not his theme song he has now. His theme song that he has now in AEW, and it's also crazy to think Adam Cole is in WWE at this point. But I'm talking about the Ring of Honor theme song, that being something for you. But it's Dr. Britt Baker, the Hot Mess, Chelsea Green, Madison Rayne, and everybody's current favorite pro wrestler on the entire planet, Tessa Blanchard. Oh boy. Now, this is probably something you're going to hear a few times throughout the course of the show, but this is before we knew what we knew now. So this is before modern day, where Tessa Blanchard is getting the "she's a racist" chant at the TNA Genesis show. Which, speaking of which, shout out to Joe Hendry for becoming the TNA World Champion, and shout out to Jordan Grace for potentially being done with TNA. But yeah, Tessa Blanchard does come out and actually even gets the win in this match, in this four-corner survival match. It's pretty much one fall to a finish. The first person to gain pinfall or submission gets the win. And I think these four ladies did pretty okay for the most part. I think I think all four were able to I guess I cannot think, and I cannot speak today. But were able to do what they needed to do. They got their moments in, and Tessa Blanchard ultimately does pick up the win in, I believe, kind of like a roll up maneuver. No, she hit the hammerlock DDT on Chelsea Green, which is kind of ironic considering they now officially hate each other. Her aura might be more one sided on Chelsea Green, not being the biggest fan of Tessa Blanchard. But Tess Blanchard does get the win there. It looked like it might have been botched because they did the spot where it's supposed to run in and break up the pin, and even the announcers were like, "Oh, they broke up the pin," but the bell rang anyway, and the ref just awarded Tess of the match. I don't know if that was a botch. I don't know if that was planned how it was supposed to go. Oh, I don't know for sure, so don't quote me on saying that it was indeed botched, but it looked like it was, at least first glance, but that might just be me. But yeah, they get the win, and all the ladies hug in the ring after the match, which is nice. But yeah, Tessa Blanchard gets the win here, and her involvement as well as the other four, where they did what they needed to do. I'll give that to Tessa. But next up for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, Nick Aldis, the dealer, who's accompanied, both men in this match are accompanied by a whole lot of people. Nick Aldis is accompanied by Jeff Jarrett, Samuel Shaw, Sean Daivari, and Tim Storm, as he defends the NWA World Heavyweight Championship against Cody. No, not Cody Rhodes, just Cody. Yeah, this was that time where WWE trademarked his last name, so he just had to go by Cody for a little bit. That was a weird time. He pretty much got the NWE treatment where they randomly removed the names, and he wasn't even part of WWE anymore, which is hilarious. But Cody's of course accompanied by Brandy Rhodes, DDP Diamond Dallas Page, Tommy Dreamer, Glacier, who I didn't even notice was there. I probably totally missed it. It also did kind of skip through a lot of the entrances, so that's probably why. And of course, his dog Pharaoh. Pharaoh was there as well. In the match. It is also worth mentioning after Daniels versus after the opening match, Nick Aldis kind of did a mini kind of promo for the matchup coming, and so this was the matchup coming. So of course they're putting over a big way that Cody had to like really fight to get this opportunity against Nick Aldis, and putting over how his father was the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and so Cody wants to win the title as well. But will he be able to defeat Nick Aldis? Well, as it turns out, yeah. This match was a lot of fun on quite a bit of back and forth, even getting some involvement from Daivari and DDP. Yeah, Cody. This part probably shouldn't have made me laugh as much as it did. Cody is not hooked to the outside. He's taken out to the outside. And I believe Nick Aldis did some sort of like ramming Cody into the table. And so Cody was under the table. Cody was not bleeding at first when he was put out on the outside. But then after DDP attacked Daivari, then all of a sudden Cody had color. So I smell a blade job. Obviously I can't tell for sure, but it definitely looked like it because Cody was not bleeding at all. Sometimes it takes a little while for the blood to like flow, but yeah. But of course it wouldn't be a Rhodes family match without a little bit of the color, But yeah, so some good back and forth between Nick Aldis and Cody Rhodes, and it's crazy to think that several years later they're both in WWE and both on the same brand. But Cody ultimately picking up the win over Nick Aldis in kind of a surprise, his roll up maneuver or sunset flip. There we go. Cody ultimately picking up the win, becoming the new NWA World Heavyweight Championship, new NWA World Heavyweight Champion, I should say. And it's to the point where they're even delayed on playing his music. They don't play his music for a little bit until Cody is handed the championship. I imagine there's probably more to highlight the moment, and especially with this moment apparently making Cody and Dusty the first father-son duo to win the championship. So both the father and the son holding the NWA World Championship, which admittedly is a pretty nice bit of trivia and a nice feather in the cap for the American Nightmare. But yeah, really unnaturally solid match. Loved the back and forth. Cody, he's able to put on a great match. First time really getting to see Nick Aldis in the ring, and he did pretty well. So yeah, pretty solid in that regard. But next up, in a Chicago street fight action, Hangman Page, he battled the bad boy Joey Janela. Apparently Hangman Page in kayfabe has murdered Joey Ryan. Yeah, apparently according to this show, Being the Elite is canon, and that being the Elite show, which is now Being the Dark Order. But apparently Being the Elite is canon because apparently Hangman Page did murder Joey Ryan, and so kind of being haunted by the boot, who's straight up SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs style. Well, at least he didn't try to put them in the floorboards and then deep fry them and then eat them. But the boots he used to murder Joey Ryan have kind of been haunting Hangman, so he's coming in and kind of a frazzled his mental state. Hey, not quite all the way there. And crazy thing, 7 years later, her and a home invasion by Swerve later, nothing has really changed for Hangman Page. But seeing Hangman Page here right before AEW, who was pretty cool. This one on this Chicago street fight was a lot of fun. On some weapons, some plunder, including using a Cracker Barrel, which is funny because I watched this show last night and tonight, and by tonight I mean Monday night because I'm recording this Monday night. I had Cracker Barrel for dinner, but yeah, using the Cracker Barrel, which apparently did cater the show, so that was nice of them. But Hangman and Joey, kind of going back and forth. Penelope Ford getting quite a bit of interference including taking the bag from Hangman. Hangman had the bag with him, had like a trash bag with him, wasn't really sure what was in the bag. Penelope dumps out the bag, and it turns out to be the boots he used to murder Joey Ryan, and admittedly, Hangman's selling of it was pretty was pretty funny. Him being so spooked by the boots. He definitely sold the crap out of it. Some scary moments, including Hangman powerbombing Joey off the stage. It looked like it was supposed to be through both tables because Joey Janela did set up 2 tables, 4 tables in total in this match. And Hangman and powerbomb Joey. He threw, who looked like he was aiming for both tables. Joey ended up going through one and then kind of clipping his head on the back of the other one, so that did look pretty scary. But then they did have a ladder, and this is how the match ended. They did have a ladder in the ring, and Hangman, and after seeing the boots, who's then super kicked the crap out of Penelope Ford, so I guess the super kicking does run within the Elite, but then Hangman hitting I forgot what the name was called at this point in time, so I'll have to look here. Or the Rite of Passage, that's what it's called, but now you might know it as the Deadeye. Hangman Page hit essentially the dead eye on Janela off the ladder or through the table in order to pick up the win, and afterwards Joey Ryan and shows up. He's not dead at all, so he was brought back to life. He probably used the same method to come back to life as Palpatine did, but attacking Hangman Page there to kind of get his revenge. He hit him with the super kick. But yeah, pretty fun street fight there between Hangman and Janela. Yeah, pretty fun there. But then, and next the Ring of Honor World Championship is on the line, and as Jay Lethal defends against Flip Gordon, but not just any Jay Lethal, Black Machismo coming out, and Jay Lethal accompanied by Lanny Poffo, that being Randy Poffo / Randy Savage's brother. So that was a pretty cool moment. And essentially getting the blessing from the family to do like the Macho Man gimmick and everything. And between Macho Man and Ric Flair, man, Jay Lethal is good at impressions, and and it's funny. I don't know if I ever mentioned this on camera, but Jay Lethal, when he's talking normally, even when he talks normally, he sounds exactly like Ric Flair, at least to me. But as for this match, this match was pretty fun. You had some good wrestling between the two. My first match seeing Flip Gordon, which was pretty cool. Well, a lot of first timers. Like every match has someone I'm familiar with that I've seen in the ring before, but then also having someone new. So kind of getting the best of both worlds there. Flip Gordon was pretty cool in this match. Jay Lethal had some comedy there, including him kind of flipping back and forth between the Macho Man / Black Machismo persona and then just regular Jay Lethal. Ultimately, Lethal hitting multiple elbow drops, not enough to put away Flip Gordon, but then does hit the lethal injection in order to put away Flip. So, Flip. Flip, but good effort there. Not quite able to unseat Jay Lethal. Well, a pretty fun match, but then Bully Ray attacks them. Of course, you remember in the Battle Royal, which I should probably mention who was in the Battle Royal really quickly. So the other members of the Battle Royal included Moose, Brandon Cutler, or Chucky T / Chuck Taylor, Trent Beretta / Trent Beretta, Rocky Romero, Cheeseburger, the Hurricane, Ethan Page, Tommy Dreamer, or Jimmy Jacobs, Punishments Martinez, his Austin and Billy Gunn, Marco Stunt, Brian Cage, Jordan Grace, a man who will become crucial in just a moment, and Bully Ray himself, who of course was eliminated by Flip Gordon. So he attacks both Jay Lethal and Flip Gordon and brings the table in, and the commentator is wondering who will be able to stop this. It's Colt Boom Boom Cabana, of course, the Chicago native. We are in the Sears Center in Chicago. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this was a show where they tried to offer like an invitation to CM Punk, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be totally wrong on that, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, Colt Cabana makes a save. He, Jay Lethal, and Flip Gordon then do the triple powerbomb onto Bully Ray through the table. Once again, the man who introduces the table, or I should say the person who introduces the table, is the one who will go through the table, and that's what happened to Bully there. That kind of ends off that hat, and yeah, pretty fun match in that regard. Alright, but next up, a match that a lot of people were excited for. I believe the match that was announced first that a lot of people sold out the show for, or as Kenny Omega battles Penta El Zero. At this point in time, Penta was in Impact. They acknowledged his history in like Lucha Underground and everything, but Penta was in Impact. Kenny Omega, they say, is out of his element, not super familiar with Penta and his style. So kind of the first time. Implying that it's the first time that they've collided here. Excuse me. And this match was a lot of fun. Like showing a lot of the best of Kenny, the best of Penta, showing really what Penta can do. And if you're someone who is unfamiliar with Penta, this I think was a really great showcase for him. Really able to keep up and bring it to Omega, including eating several V triggers. Not quite not quite going down though. Before ultimately he succumbed. And Omega attempted the One Wing Angel multiple times. Penta kind of fought out of it, and before Kenny eventually did hit it. But this match was a lot of fun back and forth between Penta and Kenny. Like I said, great showcase, especially for Penta. By this time, Omega was a little more established, but had Penta, which they do flip back and forth between Penta and then Penta Del Zero and Pentagon Jr. I'm surprised he didn't go with that name now that he's in WWE, but I think, excuse me, but I think really awesome showcase for Penta, and both guys absolutely brought it. Kenny ultimately getting the win over Penta, but Penta being treated like a pretty big deal, and really being put over on commentary, especially by Don Callis. It's going on the show that Penta's gonna be a big star, and sure enough, he'd be that to an extent by the time he got to AEW. But yeah, really putting over Penta in a big way. But then lights go out, and Penta gets up, takes out Omega with the code breaker, or is it? Because that and Chris Jericho was revealed to be the second Penta, and challenges Omega to a match on his Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea Cruise, aka the Jericho Crew, who's so challenged Omega to a match on the Jericho Cruise, so that match obviously happened in the future, but as for this match, really awesome match between the two. But next up, Kazuchika Okada, the Rainmaker, takes on the villain, Marty Scurll. Oh, and I thought the Tessa Blanchard, Joey Ryan stuff was awkward. But like I said, this is before we knew what we knew, obviously. But as for this one, apparently Marty Scurll kind of in an underdog position in a way. Hey, they kind of put him over as somewhat of an underdog, with apparently the other members of the Elite saying he doesn't really have a chance against Okada, aka the Rainmaker, but Marty Scurll is going to give it his all anyway. Hey, and these two who put on a really fantastic match, really brought it to each other. Or Marty really being able to hang and bring it with Okada here. Okada with a remix of the Rainmaker theme, which is pretty cool. Well, I'm surprised he hasn't brought that back since he's heel now in AEW. But these two absolutely brought it, including Marty Scurll having the umbrella. That's all in logo on there, and even hitting Okada with his own Rainmaker. But ultimately, Okada nails not one but two Rainmakers in rapid succession in order to put away a Marty Scurll. But hell of an effort from Marty Scurll. Going against Okada there, but Okada does pick up the win. And last, certainly not least, in the main event, and the Golden Elite, that being Kota Ibushi, Matt, and Nick Jackson, and the Young Bucks battle the team of Bandito, Rey Fenix, and Rey Mysterio. And yes, this was that point in time when Rey wasn't in WWE anymore. Now, I had to this one, I kind of scratched my head a little bit, because I remember 2018. I remember Rey Mysterio returning at the 2018 Royal Rumble. Well, mainly because I was hype as hell when that happened. Like, when I saw that live, when I tell you who I was shook. Like 17-year-old me was shook. That was an awesome moment, him returning at the 2018 Royal Rumble, the 2018 Men's Royal Rumble. That is his. So I had to figure out. Wait, hey, I thought Rey Mysterio was in WWE. But turns out he didn't really sign like a contract until later on in the month. This event took place September 1st. Rey wouldn't be signed until Rey Mysterio, that is, wouldn't be signed until later on in the month. Rey Mysterio with the Wolverine gear, looking really solid. It's been a while since I did the Rey Mysterio tier list on the channel. That was like I think the Rey Mysterio tier list was like one of the first tier lists I had done on the channel. Well, so I'm not sure if I included the Wolverine gear, but I absolutely should have because it was a really fantastic looking gear. It looks so cool. Rey Mysterio's comic book gears always look really sick, and I am here for it. But they also put over how Rey was an inspiration for the other 5 men in this match, that being Kota Ibushi, Matt and Nick Jackson, as well as Bandito and Rey Fenix. And yeah, fair enough. As for this match, pretty fun main event and quite a bit of action in here, but I do wish it was a little bit longer. And that was kind of the complaint, is that this match went kind of short. I think there was a match that went a little long, so time had to be trimmed from his match, because has time constraints and everything, but yeah, still a really fun match, and they definitely go pedal to the metal. Ultimately, the Golden Elite, that being Ibushi, Matt, and Nick Jackson, ultimately picking up the win in here to close off the show, and also pretty apt to have the Young Bucks be the one to close out the show, as well as Rey Fenix, 3 guys who would go on to be, and 4 if you count Ibushi, who apparently is signed to AEW, but pretty apt to have them be the ones to close out the show. Nevertheless, that was All In, and it was quite the show. Definitely blew away expectations, at least in terms of sales and everything, and definitely proving that you can have an independent show that can stand up to WWE in that regard. And seeing all the stars here, and knowing where they'll be several years later, or whether in AEW or in other promotions, is pretty cool to see. A lot of stars in kind of their younger phases, younger days, such as Cody, who's still pretty new into the American Nightmare gimmick, or say like MJF, or even in Penta, Rey Fenix, Bandito, who they said 2018 was kind of positioned as like a breakout year for him. It was just really awesome to see. But that is the show. In terms of the strongest and weakest matches of the night, the strongest, I definitely gotta go with Kenny versus Penta. That was a really fun match for me. He filled with a lot of action, and both guys looked incredible. Well, it's hard. You'll be hard pressed to find a bad Kenny Omega match. They do exist, but you'll be hard pressed to find a bad Kenny Omega match. And him being able to work with Penta and vice versa was pretty cool to see. As for the weakest, I'll have to go with Daniels versus Mel. Mel was his kind of but Mel kind of did the best he could. Not quite expecting him to be technical wizard, but he and Daniels did the best they could. But nevertheless, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you can see as soon as it drops. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts on All In and my review. Did you like All In? Did you like my review of All In? Let me know. Thank you all so much for watching. And of course, you probably guessed it, and yes, I can confirm, Double or Nothing 2019. I'll review at some point in the next. If not the next few weeks, then within like the next month or so. Because of course you gotta follow this up. We had the prologue to AEW, but now we gotta see the actual launch in a way of AEW. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.